Hello, everyone. I am Ward 2 Alderman Will Stewart, and I'm here today with Jodie Nazaka, who was confirmed as Manchester's new Economic Development Director back on February 1st. Welcome, Jodie.
Thank you for having me, Alderman. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is economic development, and what's the role of the Manchester Economic Development Office?
Great first question. So the Economic Development Office in Manchester, for a little bit of background, has been understaffed or unstaffed for a little over 2.5 years now. So I'm excited to be in this role and kind of developing this department from the ground up, coming in with fresh eyes and being able to kind of build the department without any preset standards is pretty exciting. So economic development itself is the practice of creating and enhancing a community's assets. And by enhancing those assets, we're improving the overall attractiveness and livability of our community. And the realm of economic development is more than just creating jobs or getting that next big employer into our community. It's really about focusing and investing in growing our economy and enhancing the prosperity and quality of life for not only just our residents, but our business owners, our stakeholders, and everyone that comes in and out of this city. So plain and simple, I view my role as a voice of positivity for the city. There's so much that goes in and is involved with economic development, but when you boil it all down, I'm really a promoter. I'm here to promote and champion our city, and I've been born and raised in Manchester. I've lived here most of my life, so I'm excited to be that champion for the city.
Well, we're certainly happy you're here. You were confirmed unanimously, back by the Board of Aldermen, back in early February. We're super excited you're here. As you mentioned, the office itself has been vacant, for the last 2.5 years, and without any staff. And so now that you're on board, I'm curious to know what are the first things you're doing to kind of reboot and refocus the city's economic development efforts? What are your short-term goals?
So first is letting the community residents and the business world know that this office is back up and running. Putting myself out there so people can put a face to the office and put a face to the name is my number one priority. Is I want people to know that there's someone here to help now. And I want to bring a sense of pride back to our community. And that's not to say that there isn't pride in our city, but I want to bolster what we have and build on that. I'm working diligently with several other departments and members of the Central Business Service District to bring back a downtown events and beautification team. We're in early discussions with the City Assessor's Office to update and expand the Community 79E program. The state has made some adjustments to that, so now we're in the process of working to get the aldermen to endorse those changes to the state RSA. We're collaborating with the Chamber, the Greater Manchester Chamber, on the revival of the fan favorite taco tour that just was announced this week, set for the first Thursday in May, which is May 5th. We're excited for that. That event in previous years has drawn over 25,000 visitors to our city, and this year we're hoping for over 30,000. And most importantly, we're undertaking a major effort to create a branding and marketing plan for Manchester, something that's never been done. And we have a hefty amount of American Rescue Plan funds set aside to work on that. So over the next 5 years, there'll be some major advancements in the marketing of this city. And we're hoping to work with Ted Kitchens over at Manchester Airport to market the airport nationally. We have some really great direct flights now from Manchester to Florida, and promoting that is going to be key.
Glad to hear, you're really taking kind of a holistic big vision. And I love the idea of, being able to have a plan and be able to execute, on something. So can you expand a little bit more about your longer term view that you're taking? What kind of strategies do you have in mind to be that promoter, to attract and retain not just businesses here in Manchester, but also the employees that these businesses desperately need?
Yeah, and going back to the branding part of it, so long term, the city needs to create a consistent quality brand and marketing strategy. Changing the perception is a short term and a long term goal. As a quick exercise, I like to say to people, what's your first thoughts when someone says to you, Detroit, Portsmouth, New Orleans, Asheville? You're going to have very different first impressions when you think of all those 4 communities. And considering how those first impressions might be, those might negatively impact those communities, whether you visited them or not. And it's just based on, the negative stigmas that a lot of these communities have, or the positive, impressions that some of these communities first have. So recognizing the importance of what a place means to someone is critical in economic development and for Manchester. I want to create quality first impressions, and I want to break those stigmas that sometimes can come when people hear Manchester, New Hampshire. So planning for a future that recognizes the critical importance of the quality of life to attracting talent, entrepreneurship, and encouraging local businesses is critical for here in Manchester and to help move our city forward. So competing for success in this region, you got to really put yourself out there. And you got to really show that the community is working to invest in its residents, its businesses, and its visitors. So having a community without a sense of place is difficult when you're trying to bring in those stakeholders. So my long-term goals is to really break that stigma. And I think the branding and marketing strategy for the city that I mentioned is really going to help break that stigma.
I agree. I think it is key. And you're right, that sense of place. I think that's what a lot of the strongest communities out there really have, kind of that well-defined sense of place that makes, their residents and people who visit there, almost brand ambassadors or community ambassadors for them. And it's a virtuous cycle, it just kind of feeds on itself. And, would love to see that. And, personally, I love that's, the way you're thinking and how you're approaching this job. Speaking of how you're approaching your job, you come to the Manchester Economic Development Office from the city's Planning and Community Development Department, which I think lends another interesting perspective. How will your planning background influence your economic development work?
Yeah, and I love that you asked that question, because I'm coming into this role a little bit differently than some of the past directors have, some of their backgrounds. I'm coming at it with a land use background, and also a creative placemaking background. So my undergraduate is in environmental planning and land use codes. And I also have a certificate in creative placemaking from the New Hampshire Institute of Art. So rather than look at it more of as a, let's fill those vacant storefronts, let's get those butts and seats, I'm looking at it as more of a community level and working with existing businesses and incoming businesses on creating a sense of community in Manchester, rather than just like, come on in and then that's it, we never hear from you again. I really want to build those relationships. And I think that's important for a city of our size, is that we want, Manchester is a unique size. We're the largest city in the state, but yet we're still small enough that everyone can kind of know everyone. And it's a great position to be in when you're trying to recruit new businesses and keep existing businesses in the city. So I consider myself really lucky to have the land use background side of it, because one thing I want to make sure to do is when new businesses are coming in, I have that firsthand knowledge of what our zoning districts are in the city, what some of the overlay districts are, and what some of the incentives we offer are. So I can let them know, hey, your business does X, Y, and Z. Well, unfortunately, that area you're looking in the city, that business isn't an allowed district. It isn't allowed use in that district. And that's not to say that you can't go there, but you're going to be at it. You're going to have another level of permits and processes to get that business up and running. So I want to be that firsthand person that these people can come to and give them guidance. And I think my background will really work to the advantage of that.
Yeah, I think it will be invaluable, for that, in fact. And, I love the background. I love the, creative placemaking, graduate work that you have. And I think it's all comes together. And I remember, when the mayor, called me to say that she was nominating you, I think the words I used were, it's an inspired choice. And I know I'm not the only one who thinks that you're the perfect fit for this role. And we certainly wish you all the success, because, your success is all of our successes. And so again, thank you, Jodie Nazaka, new Manchester Economic Development Director for the City of Manchester, joining us here today to talk economic development and how your office will practice it here in the Queen City. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for having me.